Road Dog Trucking Radio.
Road Dog Live with KC Phillips, where truckers meet to chew the fat, from health issues to equipment failure to the pitfalls of being an owner-operator. It could all be heard and discussed here. Road Dog Live with KC Phillips on Road Dog Trucking Radio.
Welcome into Road Dog Live on this Monday, July 15th of the year 2013. My name's KC Phillips, and I'm here. Glad to be back with you on this Monday edition of the program. We're going to be talking today about interviews and the hiring process in the trucking industry. You know, I think that it's safe to say that trucking interviews are really a mystery to me, in a manner of speaking. I've been on one side of it, but not really sat in an office with a safety manager and gone through the interview. But we're going to get into that in a few minutes. I know there's been a lot of commentary on Facebook. It's like, truck drivers, they don't really sit through a lot of interviews. They might not have a lot of feedback as to what you're looking for. But we're going to be putting our own little Road Dog Live spin on the interview questions out there. So before we do any of that, I want to take a moment and welcome in Mr. Ritchie Olivieri to the program. Ritchie, I'm sure that you have had a number of interviews in your storied career. Do you have any memories of interviews?
Yeah, of course I have interview memories, man. I wasn't given this job. I had to come in here and speak to big important people. So yeah, I've been on many an interview. I don't like doing interviews. They're just very uncomfortable interviews. They're always, I think the most effective interviews I think I've ever been on and have conducted, because I used to be a hiring manager at one point as well, were ones that were a little bit more casual. You know, where people talk and ask each other questions like human beings.
You're having a cup of coffee. You're just kind of shooting the bull a little bit.
Absolutely. A couple things I don't like about interviews. I don't like stupid questions being asked during an interview, time-wasting questions, questions that the manager didn't really think up of his own because he was too lazy to construct his own questions.
He's got a list. He's got a list of questions.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, come on. Well, tell me some of your strengths and weaknesses. Come on, man. You're the interviewer, man. Yeah. Get it out of me.
I have a good work ethic. I'm always on time.
And let's not forget about this one. What are some of your biggest weaknesses? Well, I work too hard. Get the fuck. Get out of here, man. Get out of my office. If you're in an interview and you ever say, my weakness is I work too hard, you as the hiring manager should say, you know what? Get the hell out of my office, man.
For lying to me.
Yeah, get out of here, man. Because A, you're lying to me, and B, you're too stupid to construct your own answer.
Yeah. He found that on Google.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly. So I always feel like I don't do interviews well. Earlier in my life, I knew I did interviews really bad, but as years went on, I guess more of my experiences in professional broadcasting actually made interviewing a little bit easier, because I'm more of a communicative kind of person now, so I could, listen, we get paid to have conversation all for hours and hours and hours on end.
Now, just because I don't know what it is a board operator's type of interview is like, but do you have to bring in samples of your work, or how does that work?
Well, in radio, it depends on what you want to do. Like when I came here, I didn't submit any demo material because I was applying for a technical job. I was a board operator. So, I can't really bring in examples of my board work. Either I know how to do it or I don't. But what I did was on, my resume states what I can do, what kind of equipment I worked on, and where professionally I've used that equipment. In radio, if you want to be on the air, you should bring some demo material, usually about 2 or 3 minutes of actual broadcast material. That means stuff that was somebody actually heard somewhere. Or you could, and I've done this also, you could...
I'm thinking of somebody bringing in somebody else's tape. Oh, the humanities!
Well, no, I don't mean that. I'm talking about like when you just sit home and pretend to do a radio show and submit that as a demo. Now, I've done that as well before I had radio, live on-air radio experience. I've done that, but I've also gone the route where, I'll give you an example. I applied for a big sports station, and what they were looking for somebody to do the the sports updates every 20 minutes. I'm Ritchie Olivieri.
Just the updates, not like color.
Not a host.
Play-by-play.
You just during whatever show it was that these would air. Just the same way like we do our news at the bottom and top of the hour.
Be good at that.
Yeah.
Will you?
First of all, I got it. If you ever want to hear it, just let me know. It's terrible, but anyway, I specifically made a demo tape for that job because I wanted them to get an example of what they were getting if they were hiring me. So there are two there are two ways to do it, but you should always bring the material that you think is best suited for that particular position.
Gotcha. Well, maybe later on in the show, if you got it with today. I mean, you have it like
First of all, you know me. I carry my radio material everywhere.
Yes,
with me. I don't leave anywhere without my radio material. So
next to your Afro pick, right?
God, I got demos from when I was still in broadcasting school that are absolutely horrific.
Well, today on the show, we're going to be listening to Ritchie's demo tapes.
You know what's funny? I'll tell you exactly what's funny is I just lost my train of thought.
That is hilarious, man. I love when that happens.
Isn't that a great story? But yeah, so whatever.
All right. Well, hey, it is.
See what a professional I am.
Indeed, and I throw you on the spot just for everybody, to know. I don't tell Ritchie what I'm going to ask him to start the show, so he is on the spot. This is like your interview, man, every day.
This is an interview. Do you have job interview questions? I'll answer some if you want to get the thing rolling.
Do you really want to know? Because I do.
If you do,
I'll lists and lists.
Do you think that would be a good idea? You could ask me those interview questions, and maybe that'll spur some.
Here's one for you. Can you describe a time when your work was criticized, and how did you handle it? Oh, no.
A time when my job was criticized, and how did I handle it?
Work.
Well, here's the way I always handle criticism. If I'm being criticized, but I don't know if this is a good answer for an interview, but I'm just gonna say it anyway. I've obviously, as everybody has, been criticized by a boss. I tend not to argue with them. I'll give a brief reaction to what I think I was doing at that particular time when I did something wrong, and then I would say thank you for bringing that to my attention. In the future, I'll see to it that's not going to happen again.
Constructively, yes.
So in other words, I'm just telling the hiring manager right now that that I lie. So all right, give me number two. I'm not getting this job. Give me number two.
Isn't listening, by the way. So you know.
If he is, Vinny will be in here at the 5 o'clock hour. I can promise you that. All right, question 2.
Oh, you want another one?
Yeah, man. I thought we were going to do a job interview. I thought that was the whole premise of this.
Yeah. Well, let's see. What unpopular stance did you have at your last company?
What? All right, that's actually a really good one because when I worked out in Washington D.C., I produced conservative talk radio, and if there's anybody, if you guys have been listening to this channel long enough, you know that I am whatever the opposite of conservative talk radio is. So I had stands all the time about the war, about George Bush that were very unpopular with my coworkers.
You could probably do very well with a show maybe called something like this, The Devil's Advocate.
Well, you know what? That's funny that you say that because we don't do a lot of politics on the Road Dog Trucking Channel, and this is where the interview is going to go really well. We don't do a lot of politics here on the Road Dog Trucking Channel, but I think politics has a tendency to cross into this channel a lot, and I would absolutely love to do a radio show where we discuss politics inside the trucking world. And that doesn't necessarily mean it would be trucking politics, but from the perspective of the truck driver, because they certainly have different varying opinions, and a lot of those opinions are different to mine. So I think it would be a great back and forth for me to go round and round and argue with people all day for hours on end.
Now, you wouldn't have to definitely be contrary, but it could be that you do enter into a conversation or a discussion, whatever you want to call it, a negotiation, with a differing viewpoint that maybe somebody had never considered. But at the same time, it needs to all be on an even temper.
Well, the one thing about
emotions
absolutely, and the one thing about debating politics is that everybody. Facebook's not a good example of this because when you argue politics on Facebook or any kind of social media, it immediately gets ugly, and then right from there I bail out because that's really not what I do. But I think the most important part about arguing politics is respecting the person you're talking to, no matter how much you disagree with that.
Yes.
So, Question 3, please.
It's Twinkie Day. Have you gotten to the store to buy your Twinkies yet?
Is that really you're interviewing me for a job? Is that what you're going to ask me?
I need to know how plugged you are into popular culture, man. Come on.
Now, maybe I made a faux pas there, but should you bark at the hiring manager the way I just did?
Oh, goodness, no, that wasn't actually. That was something I wanted to talk with you about, but I think I know that you have not, based on
I have nothing.
conversation.
I have nothing against Twinkies, but just here's what I just don't understand. I don't understand the media frenzy that took place this morning about Twinkies being back on the shelves. Is it good that they're on the shelf? Yeah, fine. If you like them, that yeah, all right, whatever. But I mean, the network morning shows. We're dedicating hours and hours on end to this. And here's my point. First of all, I could prove that nobody gives a crap about Hostess or any of these products. I could prove that they don't give a crap because if people gave a crap about Twinkies, Casey, guess what? They would have purchased them the first time and the company wouldn't have folded.
Well, that's part of it.
That's
sales
all of
were
it.
lagging. Now sales were lagging.
Yeah, sales were lagging because people weren't buying it. That's what I'm
But
saying.
At the same time, it's a highly cyclical type of scenario, and it is a comfort food at the same time. So there may be some expectations at the company level of profits and revenues, and also there was an issue with the unions, and we talked about that in some detail, but not a lot. But there was a lot going on there for them to shut their doors, but for there to be so much demand for them to come back, I think that you're probably going to see a resurgence. It may be a temporary thing.
Let's do this story in 6 months when the company folds again because nobody bought the freaking Twinkies. You're not buying the Twinkies. You're going to buy them today because you're all excited. You're gonna OD on them by tomorrow, and guess what? You're never picking up a Twinkie again.
Yeah, I got it.
I can't tell you the last time I had a Twinkie, and I like Twinkies. You know what? This is I'll veer off just a little bit. The chocolate Twinkies with the chocolate slop in the middle, that is godly.
Yes,
oh my
indeed.
God, it's got the kiss of the Lord right in the middle of them.
Well, anyway,
Did I get the job?
Yes, you did. When can you start?
Well, first of all, I should have asked it. Here's where I should. And and this is important too to bring up when you're going to start talking about the interview process. Don't just sit there like a bump on a log and listen to what the guy's saying. It's important that you ask questions as well. Don't be shy to ask about what something pays, because the last thing you want to do is just be so excited that somebody talked to you about a job and maybe you've been out of work for a long time or whatever, and you just say, all right, yeah, once the guy says he's hired, you say, okay, thank you very much, and then you run out and realize you just signed on those $7.75 an hour.
Yeah, you took a half pay cut, basically.
Yeah,
well,
that
happens a lot. I have personal experience in my family. What didn't happen to me, but my wife was looking for a new job a while back, and she was offered the position, never asked what it was going to pay, offered the position, told that the contract was being prepared, and then all she needed to do was come down and sign it, So anyway, she tells me this. I said, well, what are they paying you? She just said, I don't know. I'm like, what? You don't know what you're going to get paid? You got to be kidding me.
And I'll tell you what that is. That's a psychological thing, because we're trained to not discuss finances, and speaking finances, even in context where it's appropriate, speaking about finances is incredibly uncomfortable.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why a lot of people veer away from asking that.
Yeah, for sure. Now, how much do you make a year?
How much do I make a year? I don't make squat, son.
See how uncomfortable that was?
Yeah, I'll tell you how uncomfortable it is, man. I should have a paper hat on, and I should be asking you what size French fries you want. That's what I get paid.
Oh, come on now. Anyway, hey, it is Twinkie Day today on the show. We're going to go ahead and get into the conversation.